My foster parents demand parental control on my phone. I want it removed.
Of course you do. You're a child.
I, 15 male, have lived with my current foster parents since I was 9 years old, but I have been in foster care since I was 6. I will call my foster parents Henry and Aaron. By the way, this comes from OKFinish8622, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I got a new phone as an early Christmas present from my biological dad. It is an iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is the phone that I wanted, so I'm very happy about it. My previous phone was an iPhone 11, and it was bought by Henry and Aaron. On my old phone, Henry and Aaron had set up loads of parental controls on it, so I couldn't download any apps without them approving it. I couldn't turn off share my location. I couldn't change my passcode. It would lock everything except their contacts at 8 p.m. every night until after school.
That's crazy.
And they had a time limit on YouTube, so I could only watch it for 30 minutes within the time where my phone was unlocked anyway. Oh my gosh, that's excessive.
I get it though, because these things can melt people's brains, but also it's like, at some level, it's like, all right, you're just going to make them resourceful enough to get around it.
I could only go on websites that they approved of. Like, there was a list that I could go on, and I couldn't go on anything that they didn't manually add to that list. These all really annoyed me, but whenever I asked for them to be turned off, they told me that they bought the phone, so these were the rules. Now, I was given my new phone by my dad on Monday, and I haven't used it yet because they're telling me that I have to let them put the same restrictions on the new phone as they did on my old phone. I said no because that isn't fair. I should be allowed to use my phone as my dad says because he paid for it. I said to them that my dad paid for the phone, so it was his choice, and that he doesn't want me to have those restrictions on it. But now they've changed and said it doesn't matter who bought the phone, even though that was their whole point before. Now they're saying that because I'm living with them, I have to follow their rules, and the rule for having a phone in the house is that they put restrictions on it. I don't think that is fair at all, considering that they didn't buy the phone. I don't see how they can do this. Before I got home from school on Monday, they took the phone out of the box that my dad sent it in, set up all the restrictions, and now I'm trying to figure out a way to take them off. I'm thinking about complaining to my social worker because it is not fair that they put these restrictions on my phone even though they didn't pay for it. Edit to add, I am not going to be on much longer because I am almost out of my computer time. Thank you everyone for your advice. There's another edit to add. It's 8 p.m. now, so I'm off. Thanks everyone for taking the time to talk to me. There are some comments. One commenter asks, who pays the cell phone bill? OP. And this comment was downvoted. There is no phone bill. My dad bought the phone. Edit. I don't know if people aren't understanding me. I have a SIM card that was bought from Tesco. It is a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and no one has ever added credit to it. There's no monthly bill. Someone comments, sorry, OP, but you are wrong. Interesting. You're hurting the people who raised you. If Bio Dad wanted to be in charge, he should have been the one to raise you. But he either couldn't or wouldn't, and that doesn't really matter. He should, at the very least, have more respect for your parents who stepped up. Bio Dad is being manipulative and showing a great deal of immaturity. I know that as a teen, you are likely just wanting to side with the person who is offering you what you want. This is a mistake. This is one of those selfish sort of sided decisions.
Look, I'm cutting this off right now because this is overboard. Just like how the amount of restrictions on the phone for a 15-year-old is overboard. You can't call or text anyone besides your foster parents after 8 p.m. You have a half hour of free use throughout the day. You're 15. Everyone you know has a cell phone and can probably do whatever they want with it. Of course, you're going to feel like this is not fair. In my opinion, overboard.
Right. I agree. I think that commenter was basically saying, like, you should listen to them because you're parents. And if you are a parent, you should not use that reason to, like, control your kids.
Right. Being a parent doesn't just automatically make every thought and suggestion you have the right one. And you shouldn't be teaching kids that because it makes them sheep followers, just looking to who's the person who knows better than me, who can tell me what to do or how to think.
Yeah, exactly. Like that commenter and OP kind of went on for a little bit, basically like debating who the real parents are. And so it's like, I don't know why that commenter is just like, whoever is legally your parent, they have absolute control of you and get to say what you want.
If this kid's 9, I agree. with all of those restrictions. I don't even think kids should have like smartphones until they're at least somewhat cooked in the brain. At 15, it can be a discussion of like, all right, let's roll some of these back. You know, you can talk to your friends after 8 p.m. That's crazy. That's like, come on. Even at like 12 years old, I didn't have that level of, restriction.
No, absolutely. The top comment comes from 83 Pooley. OP, not going to say that you are in the wrong because of your age. I'm also not going to say that your carers are in the wrong based on the information you've provided. I'm coming from the position that I previously was a foster carer as well as a worker within the law enforcement system. Your biological father is making a power play here. You may not see it because generally speaking, kids in care tend to see even the worst parents as being on a pedestal. For whatever reason, you've been in foster care for the majority of your life. A good portion of that time has been under the roof of your current carers. Whilst I appreciate that at 15, you think that you should be able to do what you want on your phone, you need to understand that your carers are most likely just looking out for your best interests. Your biological father, for lack of a better term, is throwing in a grenade. In my opinion, he may be doing this for a few reasons. 1, to prove to himself or your caseworker that he is a good parent because deep down he knows he isn't. 2, to drive a wedge between you and your carers in exactly the way it appears to have. 3, because he cares about you genuinely and thinks that getting you an extravagant gift will somehow make up for you being in care since you were 6 years old. Honestly, it could be a mixture of the above. Regardless, though, he should have discussed such a gift with your caseworker and carers, if there is contact between him and them, to make sure that it was okay, and so that he could discuss the rules surrounding usage of the phone with you. If you legitimately think that your carers are not doing what is in your best interest, then you should speak to your caseworker. Let them be the mediator, as they are basically in charge. If there are possibly also things occurring in the background that you are unaware of. For example, the court or department in your jurisdiction that deals with children in care may want contact with your birth parents to only occur when they are aware of it. Your carers could simply be following rules that a court or your caseworker has outlined to them. If you think that they are on some level being reasonable because they care for you, then perhaps sit with them and discuss how at age 15 you should have more freedom. This could look like having the parental controls but with less restrictions, or it could be without the parental controls but with your carers able to look at your phone, messages, and photos when they feel that there is a need and without notice. For example, they know how to unlock the phone. At the end of the day, it is about trust. Show them that you can be trusted with more freedom, then they'll likely be more willing to become more lenient as you get older. Try to make sure that regardless of how the conversation goes with your carers, that you keep your cool. Good luck. That's a great comment, I feel. A lot of insight there.
I agreed with definitely a lot of that.
Yeah. Some of the things like location and stuff, I get why teenagers don't like that, but I also get why parents would want that, to make sure that like you're safe. But access and restrictions to like your pictures and messages and stuff, that I think is more a breach of privacy for sure. I feel like, some restrictions might be okay, or you can figure out some sort of compromise, but others, not so much.
It's a conversation at the end of the day. You're 15, you can have a conversation with these people. You're old enough to communicate with them on adult level to some extent. Like, you're not equals, but you're 15. You're going to be legally an adult in 3 years.
OP is ultimately voted not the a-hole. And we do have an update, which is 3 days later. I wrote this post on Thursday. I just didn't get a chance to post it until now. So Henry and Aaron actually took me to McDonald's after school today, the day I am writing this. And they said to me that they could tell that I was upset with them and asked me to explain my feelings to them. I explained how I felt really frustrated that they told me that the parental controls were because they bought the phone, and then when my dad bought me a phone, they still put the same restrictions on. They said that they were sorry that they gave that impression and that they could have explained it better. They asked which restrictions I had the biggest issue with, and I said how I can't text or call anyone unless they approve it, and how the phone locks at 8 p.m. and I can't use it, and that I only have 30 minutes on YouTube or TikTok, and that I can't have apps like Snapchat, Discord, Instagram, etc. They said, okay. They understood why I was upset and frustrated, and they said that they will discuss with my social worker how they can lighten up the rules while still ensuring that I am safe. They said that they don't want me having a long time on the phone because they don't think it's good for me, but they said in the meantime they will increase the limit to 1 hour for YouTube and TikTok, and that they will increase the bedtime thing until 9:30 p.m. I think this is a fair compromise. I said that they seemed upset that I got a new phone in general, and they said that they weren't upset at me, but were upset at the situation. I asked what they meant, and they said that it was something between them and my dad, and I didn't need to worry about it. So maybe that commenter was kind of onto something about the dad having a power play here.
Definitely makes a lot of sense. I still think that the root issue, I mean, that's like a separate thing to me. Yeah, dad's making a power play. But this is more like you have a 15-year-old, young adult, teenager, whatever. Like, you're only going to do two things by keeping these restrictions as, like, intense as they are. You're either going to, like, just make OP craftier and they're going to find a way around it, or you're going to create this tension, and then it's going to snap back at some point. And once they get that freedom, they're going to go overboard on it, which is a problem in and of itself.
I appreciate that the parents are communicating like this because I feel like there's more that's going on that, like, we don't know and maybe OP doesn't quite know. So, I mean, at least they're talking about it. Like, I think if that's the case, then communication is really all you need, and they were not doing a great job of it before.
I think 15 is old enough to start having some of those harder conversations about, like, what's really going on in a complex situation like this.
But I asked them to carry on, and I had to kind of persuade them to tell me what the issue was between them and my dad. They had actually bought an iPhone 16 Pro Max for Christmas for me and had told my parents and my social worker that they had bought it and were going to give it to me for Christmas. But my dad bought one before that they could give me theirs, and they felt upset that their big present had been ruined. But they said that that wasn't my fault, and they didn't mean to make me feel like they didn't care about what my dad got me. Honestly, that made me feel upset. I asked my dad why he bought me the phone if he knew that Henry and Aaron already did. He said that he didn't want Henry and Aaron to have to give me something so expensive. But I said that they already bought it for me, and he knew that. I said that that was unfair and that he shouldn't have done that. And he called me ungrateful. I asked him how he would have felt if it was the other way around, and he left me on red. Oh, great. I actually feel really upset for Henry and Aaron that my dad did that to them, and I actually feel guilty even though I didn't know that they had already bought me one. I'm not sure what to do now. I could give my phone back to my dad and have it Henry and Aaron's, but I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Henry and Aaron said that it wasn't my fault and that it doesn't mean that my dad is a bad person, which I know, but I do feel really angry at him. Here's what you do then. You keep the dad's phone and then they return theirs and then you get the money from it.
It's pretty straightforward. It's like, he was just trying to be dad number one. People are complicated. I don't think you were ungrateful. I think you were just trying to be like, hey, was this about me or was it really about them?
Yeah.
Because it feels like it was more about them and getting one over on them than it was getting me the thing I actually wanted. It was like you're doing both, but which one was really pushing you to do it? Like, if you didn't hear that they had gotten me that phone, would you have still gotten me the phone?
Exactly. Because I feel like if his issue was like, oh, like I didn't want them to spend the money, then he would have talked to them and be like, hey, no, like, let me pay you back for this.
If anything, it feels the opposite. He's like, turns out you spent all that money for no reason.
But we do have a second update, which is 3 days after the last update. I'm writing this from the school IT suite. I just wanted to share something. Firstly, it makes me really uncomfortable that people were sending me hate messages and passing away wishes to my dad. People were messaging me saying that they wish he... Oh, wow. Sorry, but you people need help. It's not normal to treat people like that, and it's not normal to say things like that to people.
Yes. 15-year-old discovers internet comments are not always the most gracefully put.
People were accusing me of being blindly loyal to my dad, which simply isn't true. I've said so many times that my dad isn't a great person, but that doesn't mean he's a sociopath or that he deserves to pass away. It's so crazy that I get downvoted for saying, bruh, calm down a bit, please, when I respond to people like that. Anyways, my dad is still ignoring me, which is making me really upset. I've sent him some messages just basically saying, how's you? How is work? And stuff. And he's left me on red every day since last Thursday. So I've decided that I'm just going to leave it. And if he wants to talk with me again, he can come to me. Henry and Aaron said that they felt really bad because they said that they shouldn't have told me about what my dad did. But I said that I'm glad that they told me. I decided that I would keep the phone that my dad gave me and we'd return the phone that Henry and Aaron bought me, and we're going to use the money for a trip to Drayton Manor where we have the fast passes so we don't need to wait in any lines, and we're going to take my little brother also. He doesn't live with me and Henry and Aaron, which is going to be so much fun, and I'm really excited for that. See, boom. Let the dad spend his money and you guys can go on a fun trip.
Exactly.
By the way, we've got more full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime. So easy. There's a little bit more to the story. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
OP's going about this right for 15-year-old, I think. And it's like, I think it shows the foster parents really care about OP. They're just worried about OP. And they're like, we're sorry, we shouldn't have told you that about your dad. And OP's like, no, I feel great. I would prefer to know that. I'm 15 now. I'm going to grow up. You're doing the kid a disservice if you continue to restrict their ability to access.
He can handle this kind of stuff. I think they're learning that. There's a little bit more to the story. I just want to clarify some things. I am long-term matched with Henry and Aaron, which means that I'm never going to be reunified with my biological parents, even if they became super parents with no flaws. I'm matched with Henry and Aaron, so I'm staying with them until I'm 18. This has been the case since I was 11-ish. There have been plans for me to move back in with my parents because, to be honest, neither of them want me to. Sounds harsh, but it's true. And I like living with Henry and Aaron. Also, both my mom and my dad have children with other people now. We're still a family, though. I just have a very big, very weird family. And that is the end of that story.
A perfect perspective to have on that. My family's just big and weird.
Complicated. But that's the end of that story.
My mother ended our relationship. Now she wants to take it back.
Too bad, so sad. You're too late.
No takesies-backsies. Sorry. I'm going to try and make it relatively short. Spoiler, it's not. But for context, 26 female to male, have been my mom's 54 female emotional regulation for my whole life. I know she has her own perspective on what's been going on, but for extra perspectives from people close to the family, including people close to her, some people mentioned to me and my siblings a few years ago that the way she treats us and our father is not normal. By the way, this comes from user beginningstar620. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my closest friends who I confide in about the things she said to me have suggested that I go no contact or end my relationship with her. Another friend has suggested that she's emotionally harmful. My therapist thinks that she has self-absorbed traits, and my sister has said I should cut her off and that she might do the same. My brother's ex, who planned to marry him and have children together, explicitly said that our mom would not ever be allowed near her children. I've spent the last year and a half trying to work with my mom to improve our dynamic and explain to her how and why I'm hurt by the way she treats me. I never had the intention of ending the relationship and have been trying really hard to get us into family therapy or to have a mediator or other unbiased third party to help us work through this. And she has refused because she doesn't trust therapists, which if someone's a narcissist, they'll never enjoy therapy because it's them being called out on things they should do differently.
Yeah.
We've been texting on and off about our issues and have talked in person once. It hasn't been going well. Since we're not having any outside help, I've been trying to understand her perspective better to see how we might move through this. Some of what I've learned about her are the following. She believes that intention is way more important than impact. In practice, this means she does not apologize for hurting someone's feelings unless she meant to hurt them and feels bad about it. When someone tells her they've been hurt by something she says, she just explains that she didn't mean to and expects things to be fine again, which is not how that works.
Yeah.
She believes that all she can do if she has unintentionally hurt someone's feelings is explain herself. Apologizing is not on the table. Trying to understand why it hurt is not on the table. Committing to not doing it again is not on the table. She genuinely believes that a bad mental health day is more than enough of an excuse to treat people poorly and lash out. Our last conversation via text was in September. She'd claimed that she still didn't know what she had done to hurt my feelings. So how could we possibly move towards repair if she didn't know what we were repairing? I sent her a bullet point list of only the things we had already talked about that had happened in the past year and a half. And her response was that this conversation was absurd and she was busy until November, trying to get a narcissist to go, hey, I should change the way I behave. I should change the patterns in my life and the way I treat people.
Yeah.
That's a uphill, head against the wall battle.
For sure. Because she was just saying, like, we can talk about this, but, like, not until November because I'm busy. Is that what she said?
It's really just more that she's like, well, she thought she had OP being like, well, I don't even know what we're fighting about, so you're going to have to. And it's like, oh, don't worry, I have the whole list. I have bullet points.
Yeah.
And then where it's like, oh, you actually have a structured argument or like you're coming at me with some prep. Well, actually, now I'm just going to call this absurd and I won't be talking to you until November.
That's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm just calling it now. Just go no contact, dude. You're not going to get through this. This whole time, I had hoped we could work through this and understand each other. I thought we could beat the odds and actually have repair. Her track record of repair is not good, but I had hope. In past conflicts, she has ended her relationships with my older brother, her own brother, her father, her cousin, her best friend, and boss. So I was working against the odds, but surely we could talk like normal adults. I wanted her in my life, and I want my dad and siblings more present in my life too. I haven't been able to spend as much time with them during the past year and a half because of her. Apparently, anytime I'm mentioned in her presence, she shuts down, gets angry, and storms off. I don't want to hurt their relationships with her, so I've been reaching out less often, particularly to my dad, who I miss a lot. Don't do this. You're not hurting the relationships. Your mom is hurting the relationship.
Absolutely. This is not your fault. Not really your problem to fix.
Talk to the people you want to talk to.
Yeah.
Yesterday, she messages me out of the blue to say she doesn't see how we can work this out. I ask her what she means. She says the same thing. She doesn't see a way forward. She doesn't know how to fix this. I tell her it sounds like she's ending our relationship and ask her to clarify if that's what she was doing. She confirms and says she doesn't know what else to do, that she's been willing to apologize for one way she hurt me, has been a bit of a pity party about me deserving better and to having a life without being hurt constantly by my mom.
Maybe talk about it. Maybe try to figure something out. See what you're doing wrong. See what you could do better.
Right, but the narcissist can't do that. She's going, oh, well, you're saying that the things I do hurt you, which would make me bad, which I can't live in that reality, so I'm not accepting that. It's actually your fault that your feelings are hurt and not my fault for hurting your feelings with the things that I did.
Right. You deserve so much better. Giving her an excuse, making it seem like this is like a good choice by the mom from the guilt tripping. Not true.
Everyone has the capacity to change, so does his mom, but you, OP, are not equipped with the tools that you would need to try to help her or have her change in a positive way.
Yeah.
I repeat what I've been saying this whole time, that I'm just asking for an apology and an attempt to understand how she is hurting me and a commitment to behave differently. I tell her if she wanted to apologize, I've never stood in her way. If she wanted to understand, she could have listened to any of the times I've explained it to her. I told her if she wanted to treat me differently, she could have started. Lastly, I tell her it's disappointing that she's made this decision, but I won't stand in her way. She replied with a single sentence apology for one of the hurtful things she's done. I can't help but read it with a sarcastic tone, although I think she may have intended it as a half-butt olive branch or an attempt to keep talking and undo her decision minutes earlier to end our relationship. I haven't responded. I don't think I want to. I don't think she's actually willing to hear me out or change how she treats me. Is that an a-hole move to accept her decision to end the relationship but reject her minuscule apology? There's an update. No, you're not the a-hole. Your mom's a narcissist.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't necessarily make her evil, but it just makes her behave in a way that's like you're not going to get through to.
Yeah.
The way she's acting, you won't be able to have a tangible impact on her actions.
Right.
Because they're just that hard to unprogram after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, since she's so like manipulative, she's using all these guilt tripping things.
If she goes, you know what, there's no way forward, can't fix it, we're going to just have to stop communicating. And you go, so there's 100 different ways we could fix this, but if you're going to say that, then that's what we'll do.
And that's true.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Do that. Don't let her back in with a sarcastic apology that she doesn't mean, and you know she doesn't mean it. Update. Over the last few weeks, I was holding strong in my decision to not accept her takesies-backsies. She messaged me several more times since then, each time with some unhinged prospect that made it harder to not respond. She has decided to speak to her lawyer and strategize without me at length about whether or not they could get me a restraining order against my childhood abuser. She said she wouldn't move forward until I okayed it and followed up a week later. She added a big old spiel about how if we were to keep trying to work things out, she thought I needed to consider that every event has 3 points of view, mine, hers, and what really happened, and that I needed to consider her point of view about the times she has hurt me.
What?
The core of her thing is she's like, intent means more than what actually happened.
Yeah.
Which is just backwards. It's like, actually, what really happens trumps the intent. Because you have, this is what I meant to do. Here's the thing that happened.
Right.
The thing that happened now holds more weight than what you wanted to happen.
Yeah, I feel like that only works in situations where it's like, oh, sorry, like, I meant to, I can't think of an example, but like very small things. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I just meant to clean your room. I'm sorry that I put things in the wrong spot. You know, like that kind of thing. Very little things like that with just straight up hurting people. It's like, what?
Well, it's just the argument of what did someone mean versus how were they perceived. She also went on a bit of a rant about how boundaries, saying I can have personal boundaries that affect only me, but that it's not okay for me to have boundaries that she has to abide by in order to have a relationship with me, also fully backward.
Exactly.
She seems to think that we need to mutually agree to my boundaries, which is not how boundaries work, and that if she doesn't agree, she doesn't have to respect them because it would make her feel unsafe in the relationship. I broke down and responded, nothing too long. I said, hey, don't go talking to a lawyer about my situation without me there. I told her that her earlier decision to end the relationships and then do takesies-backsies resulted in a loss of trust in her. I told her I was not willing to continue the back and forth messages because it wasn't working and suggested 2 ways forward. Family therapy or give up on resolution and go to just minimal contact, 1 brunch a year for a catch-up, no family dinners or holiday invites. I said she could pick either or none, but I wasn't willing to keep doing what we've been doing. I also responded to her rant about boundaries. I have boundaries regardless of whether or not she likes them, and she can ask questions about them to understand if she doesn't agree, but pushing them results in me reducing or taking away her access to me. She responded on the 23rd with perfect timing to blow up the family right before Christmas. She wrote a freaking novel, responding to a dozen of my earlier messages, plus my most recent one, sentence by sentence. She would copy and paste a sentence of one of my messages, then respond to it over and over. This coming from the woman who's like, we have nothing to talk about. I don't see a way forward.
Right.
Actually, here's a complete dissertation on everything I think and everything I see.
Yeah. Sounds like you got a lot on your mind, actually.
She's doing a power play. She's power playing you. She's doing it right at Christmas, and then she's going to say, and this is your fault. You ruined Christmas by sending all these messages, which is not true. She ruined Christmas by responding to them the day before Christmas Eve like an unhinged maniac.
We see you. We know your tricks.
I see through you. I haven't seen anything like it before, and I don't know what she hoped to actually accomplish here. Most of her responses were, I don't know how I have hurt you. I don't know what you're talking about. Or, I don't understand. But a lot of these things were explained at other points in the same message, or we had talked about them earlier. So, what the heck? Yeah, it's because she's not in your reality, dude. She's in her narcissistic reality. And she's like, well, what do you mean you were hurt? I don't get it. Well, I don't understand what that means. Oh, I explained it in an entire paragraph back here in that message you quoted. Yeah, but I don't get it because I can't hurt your feelings. Receiving that message was a firm turning point for me. I've had several points in the last year when I've thought this would be the end and had started to accept that there was no real relationship for us. A key moment was the unanimous response to my previous post. So thank you, Reddit, for affirming my experience and supporting me. I took a couple of days and responded yesterday so that she wouldn't be able to blow up Christmas Day when the rest of my family would be with her. I was, of course, not at her Christmas. I told her I'm giving up, that she doesn't understand what boundaries are or how they function in healthy, respectful relationships. I told her that it's not worth it for me to keep explaining my pain just for her to act like I'm keeping her in the dark. And by the way, I'm not going to keep you in the dark on the fact that you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and boy, oh boy, you've got a sweet treat for your ears to nibble on. A num 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 num.
Forever. You could do it forever.
For at least 60 consecutive days.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit more story left. Do you want to just get into it?
Let's just get on into it.
I wrote a paragraph about the types of ways she has hurt me. I thought y'all might like the final paragraph in which I'm absolutely being unkind, but I don't regret this one. Quote, "It feels like I have a gaping hole in my life where a caring mother is supposed to be, and instead it's just you. There are people in my life who are far more deserving of that space, and I'm no longer willing to reserve it for someone who hasn't earned it and isn't willing to set aside their ego for the sake of their relationship with their child." Well said, OP. Yeah, it's bad. That sucks. No one wants to go through that, but
Absolutely.
it's better to realize this and go, hey, this isn't working and I'm going to stop wasting my energy on it.
Exactly.
You're carving through a brick wall with a spoon.
Yeah.
Slow, agonizing, near futile work. But that is the end of that story.